Good morning and welcome to Uni4Me Live. I'm very pleased to announce this morning that we're joined by a number of people from the Conservatoire for Dance and Drama, and we're going to be talking about how you apply and train at a conservatoire. So we've got Francesca with us, Kitty, Vanessa, Deborah, and I am going to hand over to them. So Vanessa.
Hi everyone, so I'm Vanessa. I'm the Widening Participation Quality Coordinator at the Conservatoire for Dance and Drama. And I think I'll hand over to my colleagues now to introduce themselves before we move on.
Okay, I'm Francesca McCarthy and I'm the Head of Undergraduate Studies at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance.
I am Deborah Google and I'm Head of Widening Participation and Access at the Central School of Ballet.
Hi, I'm Kitty Cheshire and I'm Head of Participation Outreach and Widening Participation at RAMBERT School.
So we are from, as Martin said, the Conservatoire for Dance and Drama, which is a federation of 6 small performing arts higher education providers. Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, Central School of Ballet, London Contemporary Dance School, the National Centre for Circus Arts, Northern School of Contemporary Dance, and RAMBERT, School of Ballet and Contemporary Dance. Our schools offer vocational training in a broad range of art forms, such as acting, ballet, circus arts, contemporary dance, production arts. We are here today to try and teach you, try and help you understand the difference between studying at a traditional university, studying at a conservatoire, to explain how you might go about applying to a conservatoire, and to give you an idea of what careers you can pursue with a degree in dance specifically. So we can introduce our schools now.
So I'm from the Central School of Ballet. We are a classical ballet school who are equally strong in contemporary dance. We are based in central London, and in fact, we've just moved in the last week to brand new premises on the South Bank, which is incredibly exciting and has a wonderful studio theatre, amazing facilities. We offer a 3-year course, a 2-year foundation degree with a 1-year BA honours top-up in professional dance and performance, and our degree is validated by the University of Kent. We accept approximately 30 to 35 women each year and 10 to 15 men. Of course, that's all dependent on the numbers that apply, because some years it's far fewer than that. You might also be interested to know that we do offer an MA course in choreography, and on that we accept just 2 or 3 students each year.
Hi, so as I said, I'm Francesca from the Northern School of Contemporary Dance, which we more often than not abbreviate to NSCD. So you'll see on the slides NSCD. So we're based in Leeds, and our course is in contemporary dance and really focuses on encouraging people to develop their own kind of individual artistic voice. We have a few different courses, which I'll just outline, but really at the root of that is always this notion of developing your individuality as a creative artist. So our courses are also validated by the University of Kent, and we have a 1-year programme called the Certificate in Higher Education of Contemporary Dance, and that gives, it's at level 4, which is sort of the first year of a degree. It's that level. So it does mean that you would potentially be able to move into a 2nd year of study if that was your kind of choice, because you would get 120 credits. We've also got a Certificate of Higher Education in Cultural Dance Forms, which we've recruited to for the first time this year. I'm very excited about that because it's hopefully helping us kind of move forward and reflecting the change that we're seeing across, well, our world, our society, and within the dance community. So the Cultural Dance Forms course is the same. It's a 1-year course, like a 1st year level, 120 credits. And it is looking at Afrofusion, hip hop, Vogue, house, dancehall, breaking, and we're, as I say, very excited about that. We also have a 3-year degree programme, which at the end of that you would graduate with 360 credits, and that is in contemporary dance, and again really focusing on that individual creative voice is the main thing. We also run postgraduate courses, so when we have 220 approximately students across the whole school, and that includes our postgraduate company, which has 14 dancers, and also we're the foremost provider of postgraduate apprenticeships. So we're also currently working with 12 companies in the sector. That does change. So overall, it's quite a large community, and which is, we think, a lovely thing. But on each of the certificate of higher education courses, we would normally take up to 30 students, and in our BA, we would take up to 60 in any one year. Just including a couple of fun facts for you. Akram Khan, who's an internationally celebrated choreographer and did the 2012 Olympics, was an NSCD graduate, and also Scary Spice and Paloma Faith did our 1-year courses, which kind of shows actually the breadth of career that people go on to. It's not necessarily that they specifically move into contemporary dance, they go on to do, you know, world dominating music stuff too.
Hi, I'm Kitty, and I'm from RAMBERT School of Ballet and Contemporary Dance, so we just shorten it to RAMBERT School. So we are based in Twickenham, so about 20 minutes outside of central London. And our school has a direct split between ballet and contemporary dance. So 50% of the time you'll be studying classical ballet, and the other 50% of the time studying contemporary dance. We have a 3-year course. We have a 2-year foundation degree, and then followed by a 3rd year top-up BA. We share the name with RAMBERT Company, and we work very closely together. We share RAMBERT 2 together, but we are 2 separate organisations. We're a very small school. We have maximum of 140 students, usually a little bit less than that. Our students come from all across the world, so it's a very international school and an international school community, and we operate as sort of one big sort of school community rather than sort of separate year groups. And last year we celebrated our 100th anniversary, although we are still celebrating it because of the pandemic. Some of our celebrations have come into this year as well.
Thank you, everyone. So, what's the difference between studying at a traditional university and conservatoire training? In a conservatoire, you can expect a more vocational type of training. So this means you're more likely to engage in practical learning and to spend most of your time training in the studio, although there will be some essay and theory writing components within your course. You can also expect much smaller classes. As you just heard, conservatoires are much, much smaller than a traditional university. So you can expect to have smaller classes, smaller year groups, and also to receive more one-to-one support. The training at Conservatoire is also intended to mimic professional training in professional dance in the real world, in the professional world. So you're likely to have many more contact hours. 30 to 35 a week is typical. But each art form is different, and each school will be slightly different in how they deliver the training. So I can pass back over to my colleagues so you know what it's like to dance at their schools.
So at the Central School of Ballet, on the degree programme, you would expect to have a daily ballet class. And this is usually about 9 o'clock in the morning. Often prior to that, we run high intensity interval training classes too. During the week, you'll have additional classes in pointe, allegro, coaching, pas de deux. About 3 times a week, you have classes in contemporary. And then there are also classes in Pilates, choreography. We do group and individual singing, dance and drama classes, and dance studies. Just to say, the singing and drama, this is not something you're auditioned on, and you don't need to be a singer to come to the Central School of Ballet. But these are additional classes which we've added to really increase the tools you have on offer for when you leave us and audition, because many people will choose to take different routes, such as in musical theatre and on cruise ships. And so these are great aspects of your career to have, singing and drama. In the first year, students do Spanish dancing to complement their degree, and in the second year, they do jazz. Of course, in the third year, students progress to our touring company, Ballet Central, and they tour UK to professional theatres for about 4 or 5 months and get an absolutely true experience of what it's like to be a professional performer. And artistic directors tell us this is what's so advantageous about our degree. Students do perform at the end of each year. So at the end of the first and second year, they take part in the school show, and they are assessed throughout the 3 years. Also, we often are presented with other performance opportunities during the 3 years, and we've collaborated in the past with people such as English National Ballet, where some of our students performed on stage with them. We've mentioned that class sizes are small, and it can vary from very small group coaching sessions to larger group classes of maybe, say, 25. We do have a very high number of contact hours. We've said approximately 32, but this can increase quite a lot. And classes take place Monday to Saturday. So for all day, Monday to Friday, from about 8:30 until about 5 o'clock, and then on Saturday mornings. I think it's also important to say, and we are very unusual like this, that at the Central School of Ballet, our degree starts at the age of 16. Now, that doesn't mean to say you have to be 16 to start, but the vast majority are 16 years old. So they come to us straight from year 11, so they would be in year 12. And they will graduate with a degree at the age of 19. I've just mentioned that there's a lot of support in place at Central School of Ballet, and we do pride ourselves on the support we give our students, both academic, pastoral, and mental health and wellbeing. And we've got a fantastic injury prevention team who are there on hand throughout the day, every day. Thank you.
Hi, so back to NSCD. As I noted previously, we have different courses. So the Certificate of Higher Education in Contemporary Dance and in Cultural Dance Forms, the 1-year programs, and we also have the 3-year degree. I'm going to talk kind of generally about how those courses sort of run, because they all have the same ethos. And then maybe there are questions at the end that are more specific, but I'll talk more wholly. So again, you would be having daily technique class, and I suppose we put down technique class to keep that really broad. So whichever course you're on, you're studying a range of different techniques, and we would respond to the needs in the sector. So sometimes, you know, your technique class could be Cunningham, or it could be Graham, or it could be Flying Low, or it could be Gaga, or it could be improvisation. So the technique classes are very broad, and there is also ballet for contemporary dancers. So the ballet is specifically tailored to meet the needs of contemporary dancers rather than a more classical approach. So there's technique. Also within that, if you look further down, it says body. I'm sorry, I'm pointing at my slide, but you can't actually see that. It says bodywork classes, and I think that's actually also quite an important part and runs alongside the technique. So we also have what we might call complementary techniques like yoga and fitness and Pilates at times to support the technique and the kind of understanding of the body. So you've got your daily technique classes, and then we also have lots of opportunities to create your own work. On either course, the creative work is viewed as equally important as the technical. So the technique classes are there to develop the awareness and understanding of the body in order to sort of serve the creative expression. So there's multiple opportunities, and all of the assessments are vehicles essentially to create your own work. So there's assessments in solo practice, there's opportunities to make group work, there's opportunities to be inside a group work, and also opportunities to direct your own group works. They are sort of different skills. And that ties in very much with the performance opportunities, because we endeavour to open out all of the assessments to be performance. So there's a solo assessment where people generate their own solos. Again, this happens across all the courses, and then they are performed in the theatre with an audience. So we try to kind of double that up. And there are also opportunities on all of the courses where choreographers come in and make work on a group of students. So that happens at least once a year in that kind of format, and often in other kind of smaller performance opportunities throughout the years as well. We have a variety of guest tutors and choreographers. We have a wonderful core base to sort of cover that, but obviously it's wonderful to be able to supplement that with people across the sector. And often we try to make links with, for example, our postgraduate companies, or we might have company takeovers. So the Hoffer Schechter company come in and take over for a week or a few days, or however we can work that. So we have a lot of people coming in. We've also started enrichment activities, because what we've recognised over the years is actually students come in with a wealth of experience often, and often with skills that perhaps we don't offer. So I was thinking when Deborah was talking about Spanish dance, you know, if a student came to us and could teach flamenco or something, then we would endeavour to kind of fit that in as an enrichment activity. So you also have a chance to develop your own teaching practice, and we would do that with support, obviously. So there's a range of in-house and kind of supplementary activities that again keep you very busy, and you're in school 9 to 5. We don't do Saturdays, it's a general rule, but Monday to Friday certainly. We recognise the intensity of these programmes in terms of the physical intensity, and of course also the kind of psychological and emotional intensity. It is very challenging, and therefore it's very important that the support is in place. So we have dedicated learner support and also English language support, because there is a high number of overseas students also working with us. We also have, I think it's over a third of our students have specific learning difficulties like dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, various different models. And we work with the social model of disability. So we're looking to see how we can support individuals through the learner support, through the health and well-being support as well, to ensure that they can really thrive within this very challenging environment. Also to note there, we do have access to counselling and also to injury support and injury prevention. So again, we have a team of bodywork practitioners that are on hand, and we also outsource to external providers to make sure that people can get the physical support that they need. We offer careers advice and support throughout the course, because we are very much focused on this notion of an individual creative voice. That means that our graduates go into very many different careers, and therefore it's really important to offer that advice about the breadth of the sector and the breadth of opportunities. Also very important to note that there are bursaries and there is financial support. We have hardship funds, and we're endeavouring to make sure that people understand that this training, as intense as it is there for everybody. Everybody can do this. So also the bursaries and the financial support hopefully help with that. Thank you.
So at RAMBERT School, our training is made up of daily ballet and contemporary technique classes. We also have improvisation classes, choreography courses. There's weekly conditioning classes, critical studies, and there's regular performance opportunities. So I think there's we do 4 sets of shows a year, and there's also opportunities to perform solos. Every Friday afternoon, we have our Fresh Fridays for 2nd and 3rd year students, where industry professionals come in and lead workshops with the students on sort of a whole variety of styles within dance and beyond dance as well. So it's really developing those skills beyond training with us. We do accept students from 16 because we do have the foundation degree, but we do accept students that are older as well. I would say probably about half of our students come at 18, if not more. Students are in school every day. It's again a very busy course, so you should be expecting to be in schools for sort of from 9 AM to about 6 PM in the evening. There's lots of space for rehearsals in the evenings and weekends to make your own work, to be practicing on what you're learning, what you've been working on in class. And alongside that, we do have a lot of support as well, because it is so challenging, and we appreciate that the course will be challenging, but also whilst you're sort of living in a new area, you'll also face some of life's challenges. So academic support, we use quick scan when everyone arrives at the school, and anyone that is identified needing a little bit of extra support, we have one-to-one neurodiversity support, which you can have throughout the year for your whole 3 years of training to support with your academic work. We also have regular timetabled study labs, which are sort of drop-in sessions with our head of studies. If you ever have any questions about some of your academic work, you can go and talk to them and sort of find out a little bit more and work through any issues that you have. And we have tutorials with all of our staff members. Our pastoral support, we have a very small, close-knit student support team. So we have our head of student support, so he's on site every day and is accessible and well known to all of the students. From there, we also have a team of counsellors. So if you are in need of counselling, the school will provide that for you. We have an on-site osteopath and rehabilitation team because we appreciate that injuries are part and parcel of training and working in dance. So they're there to support you Monday to Friday. And because we are such a small school, every student and every teacher know each other. So we have this open door policy. So if you are struggling with something, there are various avenues and anyone you can talk to in the school. And that really is very true. And all of the teachers work together to support individual students whenever they might need that extra support.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. So, how do you apply for a conservatoire? So, applying to train at a conservatoire is a bit different from applying to train at a traditional university. And there are two main routes: UCAS conservatoires and direct applications. So there are 9 conservatoires using UCAS conservatoires at the minute, including our own Bristol Old Vic Theatre School. The process is very similar to the UCAS system, but with some key differences, in that you can choose 6 choices rather than the traditional 5, and you do not sort them by order of preference. And each conservatoire you've applied for can see who else you have applied for. The process is a little bit different from music, where you're able to also choose between a study style, either a single instrument, 2 instruments at the same level, or 2 instruments with a dominant instrument. After you've made your selections for where to study, you can then select your audition locations. And when it comes to the references section of the application, you'll need to provide both an academic and a practical reference. So a school reference and also an artistically directed reference. Applying through UCAS Conservatoire currently costs at £26, plus whatever the conservatoire's audition or assessment fee might be. Now, these fees vary quite considerably, so it's always best to check on the website of the conservatoire you're applying to. But most will offer an audition or assessment fee waiver or discount. And you can find more information about this process on the UCAS website, which we have here at the bottom. However, most conservatoires operate direct applications. These can vary quite a lot, both in format. So some schools might use online digital applications, some might still use paper. They also vary considerably in cost. So again, it's very important to make sure you check with the conservatoire carefully. After you've submitted your application, you'll be invited for an audition and/or interview, either at the time of your application or shortly afterwards. In some cases, you may be able to audition remotely via video, or to attach a pre-recorded audition video to your application. So as every school is different, I'll hand back over to my colleagues so we can work out what it's like there.
At the Central School of Ballet, you apply to us directly via our website, and it's you can download the application, but most people complete it online. We also ask for you to submit some photographs, and the application form explains what we require. And then you will be able to choose a location for an audition. And currently, we hold auditions in 3 places across the UK, in Glasgow, Leeds, and 2 in London. Applications usually open around about September, October, and our first round of auditions take place between November and February. From the first rounds, a number of people will be asked to attend a second audition, the final audition, and this takes place in London in March or April. Of course, we do have a lot of international students apply to us, and we do travel to Japan to hold auditions every year, but you are also able to submit a video audition if you are unable to travel to an in-person location. The administrative fee to apply for an audition is usually £50. At the auditions, you would expect to take part in a group ballet class. And that ballet class, normally there's about 25 to 30 people in it. It lasts an hour and a half and it's led by a member of the senior school teaching faculty. After the ballet class, there's a short 30-minute contemporary class. And it is important to note that some people who are very strong in ballet, contemporary may be quite new to them, and this is nothing to worry about. It's not a difficult class. It's not meant to test you or catch you out. It really is about seeing what your potential is, what your strengths are. For the students who are recalled to the final audition, again, they take part in a 1.5-hour group ballet class, but this time they have a 30-minute choreography class instead of the contemporary. And in this class, which is normally led by a guest choreographer or a guest artist, they will teach the group a piece of choreography, and the panel are really looking to see how you are able to pick up choreography. The final audition also includes a short physical assessment. I think it's really important to say, because people do get very nervous about auditions, but you should always keep in your mind that although we are assessing you to see if you are suitable for our programme, you're also auditioning the school to see whether this is a place where you want to spend the next 3 years of your life and whether their teaching style suits you. So I think it's a two-way process.
Hi. Yes, CD, I want to echo that, Deborah. I think that is really important. I often say that at auditions, you know, you're trying us on for size as much as we're assessing you, and that can help keep the nerves a little bit in proportion, I think. Very important. So at NSCD, similarly, you apply direct through the website, and again, most people would apply online. Applications open in September, October, and normally close around mid-January, and the cost of the application is now £20. The application form that you complete, and this is the same, sorry, I should say, for each of the 3 courses that we were talking about, and perhaps it's also worth noting that we too do take students at 16. The vast majority would be 18, but we can take them at 16. So for both HEs and for the BA, that's the case. So this process is essentially the same. The application form asks for your personal details, a little bit of information about your academic education and qualifications, your dance experience and your dance education. And again, not to worry about that. We have a very broad range of people applying, and some people will have had a lot of experience potentially, and are kind of been at a dance school since they were 3. And then we have other people that just picked it up at GCSE the year before, you know, and it's absolutely fine. So don't worry about those details on the application form. It just gives us a bit of context about who will be coming to the audition. And we also ask for you to do a little personal statement, 250 words. And there's also some equality and diversity information to help us with our monitoring processes. The audition itself has perhaps been changed by the pandemic. It used to be that there was just one stage and people came to the school We think it's quite important for that. You know, you came to the school and you were with us for a day. There's always been the possibility of auditioning remotely, and we have also auditioned internationally in Scandinavia, in Singapore and Hong Kong, and in America. This year, everything changed a little bit, and we had to revise how we were doing things. So there was the possibility for everybody to join us on a Zoom, 1.5-hour Zoom session, and that meant that people from far away and people who were just around the corner were all together in that Zoom room. And I just want to be sort of totally honest and say we're still revising this. We don't know whether actually we really enjoyed that, and we may well stick with that in terms of our process for next year, which would then make our process a two-stage process. So there would be this initial kind of online experience and then a selection for people to come to the school if that was possible for them. So we're still debating that. So I just want to kind of put that out there. And the best thing to do would be to follow for updated information on our website if you are looking to audition this year. But no matter what, whether it be an online session or whether it be in the studio, we begin with a creative icebreaker, which is essentially playing games. So we want to make everybody relax. We feel that if they're relaxed, they can show us who they are. So it's about improvising, playing games, having a bit of fun, seeing how you respond to information, and hopefully generating a bit of a sense of community, so that as you move through the day, you feel supported by the staff, because you see that we're absolutely okay to have a laugh with, for want of a better expression, but also that the group of people moving through the audition are a little bit more connected. So we start with that activity, and then we move to a contemporary class, which is short and again not meant to catch anybody out. We are looking at how you assimilate information, essentially how you take things on board, and we recognise that some people will have been dancing since they were 3 and other people, as I say, just started last year, and it's all fine. We then have a short ballet session. Again, we're revising that. We may put in other things. Essentially, we want to offer people an opportunity to show us their response to different dance styles. That's basically it. That's at the root of it all. And then our final sort of section of the day is a group discussion where we show a piece of work and we talk about it. And we talk about how that piece of work has come to fruition and what are the skills that are needed, and therefore try to draw out a little bit about the skills that you would be hoping to learn. So we're looking at creativity, your performance ability, the physical potential, your ability to kind of reflect and engage and to take on new information and new ideas. And it's absolutely fine if there are skills gaps, for want of a better expression. We want you not to compare yourself to the other people in the room. We just want you to focus on showing us who you are. That's the most important thing.
So at RAMBERT School, we also have direct applications that are available on our website. They typically open in October and they close in early March. There is a fee for the application and audition of £50, but we do have fee waivers available, so you can just make that clear on the application and we can waive that fee for you. The audition process is the only measure that we use to take on students. So regardless of your academic qualifications, we will measure you based on your talent. And we know that when it comes to academic work on the course, we've got all of the support tools in place to help you succeed and thrive in that, and we can support you around that. It's just based on your audition. So we have a 2-stage audition process. Both happen at the school. It's an opportunity for you to come and look around the school, get to know us a bit more. We audition in small groups with a small panel, and you spend the morning or the afternoon with us, and you really get to know us a lot through that first audition process. The audition consists of a ballet and contemporary technique class. There's always a creative element. And then you are asked in advance to prepare a solo, and some people will perform solos on that day. You might have a physical assessment, and you might be asked to have an interview as well. At that first stage, we're really just trying to find out a little bit about you. We're trying to see sort of what motivates you and what drives you, where your passion lies in dance, and just understand a bit about your experience levels. So In our application form, there will be questions about your education experience, your dance experience, and there's a short personal statement, and there's some elements in there to give you an idea of what sort of things you could be mentioning in that personal statement. That's really just so we can begin to build a picture of who you are, where you're from, what experience you have. And like at Northern, we have people that have been dancing for years and years and years, but we also have people who are relatively new to dance as well auditioning. And I think that's sort of the beauty of our school, is that every student is so individual and has had such an individual journey to coming to us, and then has a very individual journey whilst training with us, and we really celebrate that. We then have a second stage audition, and that's when we really get to know you. So you spend a bit more time at the school, much smaller groups, and you'll meet sort of every member of the audition panel in much more detail. Slightly more challenging classes, they're quicker paced, will throw things at you just to see how you manage with taking on that information, and just to get to know you more, and just to see how you cope with new ideas, new information, and new challenges as well. So that's the audition and application process for RAMBERT.
Thank you, everyone. So how can you start preparing for training at a dance school for auditions? So one of the best ways to prepare before applying for a dance school is to take part in dance classes during your secondary school education. Taking part of these extracurricular classes will help you develop your skill and technique, which might well be assessed during a audition. It will help make dance-specific vocabulary familiar, which will make it easier when you're on the course to pick up new dance moves. It'll also get you used to the sort of training that you can expect at degree level. And in some cases, it can support your audition process, either through a year-long program that ends in audition support, or through a toolkit, a shorter week-long toolkit for audition support. And there are a range of classes you can attend, from one-day master classes to week-long summer schools to full year-long programs that consist of several classes a week. All of our schools offer these sort of opportunities to help you develop your schools and be part of the school community before you even join the school officially as a student.
At the Central School of Ballet, I am head of widening participation and access. So my role is to look after all the programmes for the under-16s prior to entry on the degree programme. And we offer a number of opportunities for young people across the UK and internationally to engage with Central School of Ballet. I have mentioned that we audition in Glasgow, Leeds, as well as London. And during those audition weekends, we also offer something called Dance Days, where you get a chance to take part in a ballet and contemporary class led by staff who work on the degree programme. So you're truly getting a taste of life at Central School of Ballet and the level of training you will receive. Of course, we also offer numerous short courses, affordable one-day courses and longer summer intensives and spring courses. We offer one-day courses every half term during the UK school calendar. So usually in October, February and in May, during the week, there's opportunities to take one-day ballet courses, ballet intensives. And we separate that by age. These are very affordable and I think give you a good idea of whether this is a school for you. It gives you a feel of the school. For those students who are age 14, 16, normally on those one-day courses, we run question and answer sessions so you can find out more about life at a full-time vocational school. And we invite our current students to attend those Q&As so you can ask them directly questions about the degree programme and life living in London, because you have to remember most of our students leave home and move to London at the age of 16 as if they would be in year 12 at school. So it's quite a daunting prospect, but there's a lot of support in place. For all our courses, there is, of course, a minimum criteria, and you can look at our website to find out more about that. And to apply to any course, you apply directly via the website. During the week, we offer a junior school Monday to Friday evenings for young people aged 3 to 18, because some people may decide that full-time vocational training is not for them, and may choose to enter a more traditional route in a university where they may be doing the performing arts. And so they want to keep up their ballet training until the age of 18. And that's why our junior school is until 18 years. Of course, if you are serious about applying for full-time vocational training at 16, I think the best way forward is to apply to our associate programme. And our associate programme runs on Saturdays during the term for 30 weeks of the year. It's for young people aged 11 to 16, so people going into year 7 up to year 11. It's by audition only, and the auditions normally take place in May or June each year. About 150 people apply, and we only take a small number, and people travel from across the UK to come to our training on a Saturday. On Saturday, you would expect to receive, obviously, classical ballet training. You have additional classes in contemporary and Pilates. For people 14 to 16 approximately, they'll also do some repertoire work and some pas de deux masterclasses in preparation for the degree programme, should they be lucky enough to secure a place on it. And we also run courses during the year on such things as injury prevention and nutrition. And we invite parents into school so they too can find out more about what to expect should they decide to for their child to apply for the degree programme. Of course, it's really important to note that a place on the associate programme in no way suggests you will secure a place on the degree programme, because a degree programme, we're auditioning people from across the world, and there's huge, bigger numbers for very small places. We do offer some other things during the year. We pride ourselves on the work we do with boys only. So we do a boys move day, a 1 day where boys from across the UK can take part in an arrangement of classes, all led by male tutors. And we do offer boys only junior school classes on Friday evenings. We also, of course, offer courses that are just to encourage love of dance, and not necessarily because you want to apply for full-time vocational training. And those courses give you a taste of the many dance genres out there.
Okay, NSCD. I think, you know, similarly, we have weekly classes for children and young people. And I say children, I mean from, you know, 4 kind of upwards, young people and adults here at the building, hopefully stay that way. And again, in a range of techniques in terms of contemporary dance, but also other things that are filtering into those programs. We have short courses and programs like Easter and summer courses, again with a range of different types of technique, and or sometimes we what's the word now, we collaborate with partner companies or partner artists, and they might come in and support that. We have Riley Theatre workshops. Something that I haven't mentioned is we have our own theatre within the school, the Riley Theatre, and when companies come to perform, they also are often offering workshops as well, so giving a sort of insight into their creative process or what the work is about, which is always good fun. We offer taster days and open days through the website. This year everything went online, and we recognise the upsides of that, like this talk that will go online for posterity. So there are a range of activities that we, I think, will continue to do online, so people can engage with them from further afield. But we will also have our open days in the building, with classes run by the the teaching staff team, so that you can get a real sense of what the school is. And we have a large number of outreach projects with primary schools, secondary schools, and other further education establishments within this area and beyond. We also tie that in our curriculum. We have teaching modules, and we try to arrange placements as well for students out in that area to kind of build that network and spread connections. We too have a pre-vocational training scheme for people who are really interested in going beyond a hobby. And that is part of the CAT scheme, so the Centre for Advanced Training, which is run by the DFE, I believe it's funded by. So a kind of government thing that's rolled out across the country, and there are various CAT schemes in different places. So our NSCD CAT offers tuition. It's a minimum commitment of 8 hours training a week, and it can at times be more, but it offers training in technique. Again, I use that very broadly because technique encompasses so many different things within the contemporary kind of world. So many different contemporary techniques and ballet for contemporary dancers. There is also training in creative dance choreography, improvisation into movement, all of those kinds of things, multiple performance opportunities, also looking at health and well-being and how we can prepare people best for training and an understanding of the kind of holistic nature of it. And there are also kind of cultural activities, so theatre trips, that kind of thing, to kind of, again, I suppose, build up a realistic picture of what training will be like and the kinds of activities that you might engage with there. And that the CAT scheme is something that you do need to apply and audition for, and then you are selected to be part of that programme. So we have a range of different opportunities, either kind of more loose, I suppose, but then the CAT scheme is something that you have to actually commit to, and you get an individual training plan, and it's quite intense, I suppose, alongside your schoolwork, and it's for 13 to 18-year-olds. Thank you.
So at RAMBERT School, we have various outreach sort of projects that we run across the year. So we also work in schools and colleges in sort of various different ways. But I think the two ways that it will be best for you to maybe engage in is looking at our pre-vocational course. That is held at the school every Saturday. It's a full day of training, so ballet classes in the morning, contemporary and creative classes in the afternoon. So every Saturday, students travel from across the UK to the school. They look at technique, they look at fitness and conditioning, they look at their creative skills and developing confidence in both styles. So that course is really for people that have some dance experience, want to take dance more seriously, but maybe have less experience in either ballet or contemporary. So they come to us and we can support that training and sort of that rounded knowledge between the two styles. The applications are actually currently open for that course, and they're available on our website. We do appreciate that dance training is really expensive, and not everyone can afford it. So we do have bursaries to help with fees to pay for that course. And we do have travel bursaries to help you get to us if you're traveling from far away. I think the pre-vocational course is lovely as well because it offers performance opportunities throughout the year. We have great relationships with industry partners. So there are performance opportunities alongside companies as well, and opportunities to have workshops with us in the school. So it's a great way to get to know the school and find out a bit more and advance your training. The pre-vocational course is also kind of a springboard and a platform. So every year dancers go off to all sorts of further training. So most do go off and study dance at higher education. So we have students from our pre-vocational course at Northern, we have students at Central from our pre-vocational course, at London Contemporary Dance School, at Laban, so they do really springboard off. But we also have students that then decide that maybe they want to go into more of a performing arts course, or maybe they want to go to traditional university. But the aim is to sort of prepare you for that sort of audition process of going into full-time training. For people that live just that bit too far to travel every Saturday, we do have a series of short courses throughout the year. So we have summer courses and autumn intensives, similar age groups, so working with 14 to 20-year-olds. And they just give you sort of a real insight into what it's like to be at our school, what it's like to train with us. So you get to know the school, you get to experience the training, you work within the 50-50 training model of ballet and contemporary. The autumn intensive is in the October half term, so has a real focus about preparing you for that audition season that you might be having, where you might be auditioning at several different schools. And it will help you things with things like maybe solo development and confidence around having interviews and being in the audition room. And again, we have bursaries to help with those costs to attend that course. Our autumn intensive will be accepting applications live later this summer, so do keep an eye on our website for more details.
Excellent, thank you. So what can you do with a dance degree? And the answer is many, many, many things. The creative industries are one of the UK's fastest growing sectors, and they're also one of the most resistant to automation. You can't really replace a human being with a machine when it comes to creativity. Many dance graduates have what you can describe as a portfolio career, meaning that they undertake many different types of work, often as freelancers. So for example, at any time, they might be touring with a company for a couple of months and then teaching throughout the week, perhaps consulting on performances, perhaps backstage production or video work. So studying the performing arts will also equip you with a wealth of transferable skills that will be valuable outside the art form. You can see some of these here, which have been provided by my lovely colleagues. So you'll learn how to work as a team. You'll learn how to communicate quite well, how to think outside of the box, think laterally. You'll develop, obviously, some creativity, resilience, discipline, focus, and motivation, because you'll be training for such a long time throughout the day, really intensively. There'll be leadership skills you acquire, and also clarity of argument, confidence and problem solving, as well as curiosity and entrepreneurship to sell yourself as a human being. And here, this last slide is just some recent graduates from our 3 schools here, the companies they have all gone to. I don't know if my colleagues want to say anything about their recent graduates.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak both from the Central School of Ballet. I think it's important to say that obviously a lot of students, a lot of our graduates progress onto ballet companies across the world. But equally, at the end of the 3 years, then a lot of them also progress into contemporary dance companies, such as Phoenix in Leeds, for example. So although we are classical ballet school that are equally strong at contemporary, many of our students also, equipped with the tools we've given them, such as skills in singing and drama, do choose to develop their career in musical theatre. So I think it's important to say for all our schools, really, they go on to many things in many areas of dance. And also they're truly international. They are spread far and wide afield all over the world, Canada, Japan, America, across the UK. So it really is quite impressive what they go on to do.
Can I add something? I think, you know, there's a certain degree of a measure of success being in the list of companies, but I think I also wanted to point out that our students, I think, this notion of their individual voice and entrepreneurship, there's many graduates that have recently sort of stayed on in Leeds, and Leeds is becoming a bit of a hub for creative activity outside of London. And I see our students really making an impact in that and feeling quite strong about their own work and their own vision, setting up collectives and creative kind of projects. You know, they're confident in Arts Council funding bids and all of those sorts of things. So whilst, you know, it's wonderful that our students go off and train in these pre-existing companies, I also feel really proud to be part of the school and to have the students going out and like making their own mark and changing the sector as well, you know, creating change, being the change you want to see, you know, that kind of thing. So I think I just wanted to sort of, yeah, flag that up as well.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Francesca said as well. So many of our students do go on to have performance careers, working with all sorts of companies. So the big named companies that we know, but also smaller companies that are just starting up, or companies that have maybe a slightly different focus than performing in the biggest theatres. Maybe they are making outdoors work, or maybe they're making quite community focused work. I think something that we really try to do is to encourage you to build your artistry whilst you're with us, so that when you graduate, you can lend your hand to many different things. You are very employable, you have a range of skills, and so it can take you on quite an interesting career journey. And often when students come to us wanting to do something or one particular thing, they often leave 3 years later with some very different ideas, because we've shown them a breadth of opportunity out there. We also have lots of our students and our graduates can be found in the world of academia. They are educators. They can be teaching, from teaching children and young people, to teaching adults, to teaching older adults, to teaching in conservatoires themselves. They are making work, they're rehearsal directors. We even have people that sometimes come to the end of their degree and decide to walk away from dance. So we've had people go off and do sort of maths degrees, or train as florists, or work in the Foreign Office. So we have people that really do, really can go anywhere that they want to go, because they're equipped with such brilliant transferable skills beyond training to be dancers and dance artists.
So thank you. Well, thank you everyone for coming to the talk. If you want any more information, you can find our school's websites here, and also their social media handles. If you have any other questions, you can email me and I can direct them toward our schools. We can also take some questions now, if there's anything we think you've missed about training and applying to a conservatoire.
Thank you very much, everyone. There's just a few things we need to pick up on from the presentation. And I was going to come to Deborah first of all. You mentioned something called an MA, and I'm just thinking that some people might not be quite aware what's the difference between an MA and the BA courses. And I just wondered if you could expand on that for people.
Well, a BA is a first degree and a master's is more advanced. So MA is a master's, and some people do choose to complete our BA, and at the age of 19 will apply to do the MA. And equally, some people decide to come back to doing an MA, maybe at the end of their performance career, because for performers, you know, their career could be have ended around about 25, 26 years old. We like to think it's going to be longer than that, but obviously it may be something such as injury. So an MA is a more advanced degree, and people have completed a first degree, a BA, before that. Okay.
Lovely, thank you. And I'll come to Kitty next. You mentioned that the students of yours study every day. I'm just assuming that's Monday to Friday, because you also mentioned weekend opportunities for practice, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So classes are scheduled Monday to Friday, and then evenings and weekends are about what you want to do, how you want to further your practice. So that's your own time. A lot of our students actually work at weekends as well. They have part-time jobs to help support their some of the costs of living, help support some of their training, and we do sort of help them and support them in finding that work. We have roles in the school that they can take part in, and they can work for us, or they can also earn some of our sort of younger youth programs, or they sometimes work just locally in the area as well. But yeah, normal course hours are Monday to Friday.
Okay. And the other question I had for you, could you say a little bit more about Quick Scan, because some people might not have heard about that and what it does?
Yeah, so Quick Scan, it's an online program, and it doesn't take it's sort of, you do it when you arrive at the school, in your first couple of weeks with us during your induction process, and it basically just helps us get to know about how you learn, the way you learn. you learn a little bit about how you learn and the way you learn as well. And it will identify anything, it will identify if you are showing signs of having dyslexia or dyspraxia, which can help us make sure that we can then put a support program in place for when it comes to the rest of your learning at the school. So we ask every student to do that, because we know that maybe in your previous education, you might have struggled with certain areas and it was never picked up. And it doesn't get picked up until you're with us. And we want to make sure that when you're with us, you have all the tools and all the support to thrive, because the academic work can be so enriching and engaging and support your studies and your understanding in studio so well. So we want you to be able to access the sort of full breadth of that. So that's just a tool that we use to help you to make sure that you have everything that you need to do that on our courses.
Okay, that's great.
Sorry, Martin, can I just echo what Kitty has said there? Because same for us at Central School of Ballet, and I'm sure it's same as at Northern, we assess everyone that comes in for a specific learning difference. And as Kitty said, some people come to us who've never realised that they may have something such as dyslexia. It's never been picked up. And so we assess everyone again to see what additional support we can put in place, because although our degrees are very practical, it is a degree and there is a lot of written work too. And so we can put support in place so they get the best out of the degree programme in order to succeed.
Great, thanks.
Can I just add something there, sorry, as well?
Yeah, of course.
So not relating directly to the academic work, but also I think neurodivergent profiles also have an impact in the studio, as I think Kitty mentioned. And I think it's perhaps also important to note that alongside all of that support, our staff, our teaching staff, are trained in supporting students in the studio as well, to pick up on any kind of differences in the way they're thinking about things. Or kind of receiving information. So it is also very, very useful in the practical context as well.
Okay, great. And I think the next question is, obviously we talked a lot about the kind of younger people going and 16-year-olds being able to talk to start a degree program. And I was just wondering, do you get many mature students? So someone who might be 23, 24, who's that just suddenly discovered a love of dance and they want to take it further?
I can speak to that first, if that's okay. We certainly do, yes, 100%. There are people that are older that come to the course, and sometimes they choose to go on to our Cert HE in contemporary dance, or and/or cultural dance forms. We just haven't run it so much yet, so we can't see a trend there. But I think because the Cert HE kind of is a sort of balancing out year in a way, so perhaps you might have a mature student who's sort of got strengths in one area and less so in another, so that's quite a good course to maybe start with. And of course it does allow you to go into the second year of a degree, so you can shorten essentially the time. So if they need to kind of pick up on physical development, having come to it a bit later, then that's fine. But we also have older students applying all the time. I mean, I trained in ballet 16 to 19, but I did my contemporary degree as a mature student of whatever I was, 23, 24. That's quite common, I think. Well, Deborah can speak for ballet, but certainly in a contemporary context, it's not unusual for people to come to it a little bit later. And I think also it's not unusual for the careers to go on a little bit longer. It's just a slight, or depending on what your career does. So I don't think age should be a barrier. I also think there are very many relevant discussions at the moment in the sector about supporting people who are a little bit older and kind of seeing the opportunities that actually that different life experience can bring. And I would definitely support that myself. Coming to something later means you come with a different approach and a different set of skills potentially and life experience. I think the potential challenge in dance is the body is easier to mold when it's younger, as is the brain, so it does bring some challenges with it potentially. But I think also older students have a lot to offer, particularly for us in terms of creative voice and expressiveness, and it shouldn't be a barrier at all, would be my thinking.
Deborah, do you want to add anything from a specific ballet perspective?
Well, although most of our students are 16, to audition, there is no upper age limit, but I do think it is slightly different for ballet. And that is why we focus most of our engagement work on working with primary school level, because you do have to start ballet much younger to develop the technique. And I do think you have to start your professional training younger before you're fully developed. And also I think a ballet dancer's career is very short. It's like a footballer or an athlete. They tend to start younger and their career ends much earlier. So I think it is slightly different to contemporary, but you are able to audition at any age.
Brilliant, thank you. And I suppose this was a question probably for you all, but maybe Vanessa could answer this one. So some students might be worried about how they finance their studies if they're coming for professional training. Does it work the same way as applying to a standard university, or are there any other opportunities?
So all of our schools are on the student loans programme for all UK students, so you can finance it through student finance. We also do have a bursary programme, and I think each individual school also has hardship funds, scholarships, bursaries, all that sort of thing. So you can get the support you can expect from a traditional degree, as well as additional support based in the school and in the Conservatoire at large.
Okay, and you know, a lot of standard universities, if you like, have halls of residence. Where do your students live during term time?
I'm happy to start with that one. So we don't have halls of residence per se, but what we do have is we work with a local homestay company particularly for dancers that are sort of under 18, where you can live locally to the school in a family's house. They'll look after you, they'll sort of help you with cooking and planning your meals and things like that. And that's quite a nice bridge if you're coming at a younger age to have sort of a supported way of living, because it's very young to suddenly be living on your own at 16. But most of our students that are 18 plus tend to live locally to the school in shared houses and flats with other students. And when students get offered a place at our school, we then help pair them with other students to live with for the duration of the course. And we have things that we call them RAMBERT houses, and they're sort of shared houses that have been in the school's history for sort of 10 years. So there's been RAMBERT school students living at those houses for sort of 10 or plus years maybe. So we really do help you with that process. Some of our students, a small number that might live locally, do also live at home if they can manage the travel. It's easier if you sort of live in southwest London. If you're sort of living in North London, it's long to be travelling out to Twickenham every day with long days of training. It's challenging, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
We have a similar system. The school opened in like 1985, I think, and there's some houses in Chapeltown, which is like literally down the road, 5 minutes, that have just been part of the sort of family for all of that time. So the students live in shared houses, and we again have a Facebook group when they join, and they can, you know, meet each other and connect and get these shared houses, and then they can roll out of bed down the hill to the school within 5 minutes. We've also, over the past few years, seen an increase in students that actually do want to stay in halls, university halls, those kinds of residences. And there are also some of those dotted about. They are more expensive, but you have an ensuite shower. So it's you know, it's individual circumstance. There are some students that are choosing to do that, and then the vast majority live 5 minutes away and roll in and roll out.
Just like RAMBERT at Central School of Ballet, we don't have any residential accommodation of our own. And as most of our students are under 18, we do make recommendations of accommodation which will accept under 18s. And we have a very good relationship with some of them, where they will place the Central School of Ballet students together. They have their own bedroom, which is en suite, but they share kitchen facilities, and it's within easy reach of the school. So we do make recommendations, because it is very difficult, 16 and living away from home for the first time, and having to do all the things you do, such as cook, clean, shop, manage your time. But these are also great skills to take on when you leave us at the age of 19 and could be anywhere in the world working.
Great. And we talked a lot about dyslexia, and we talked about testing for those kind of dyslexia, dyspraxia. I was just wondering about other disabilities and how those can maybe be supported. Some people might be really interested in dance but are worried they'd never get past the audition process because of certain barriers they face.
I can talk to that a little bit. We have a history of students. We have a connection with two companies, Canduco and Stopgap, that are integrated companies. So talking about dancers with physical impairments, quite sort of obvious physical impairments, alongside fully able-bodied dancers. I feel like even the language is so challenging, and we want, you know, they're an integrated company, and we would like to think of ourselves as an integrated school. We have had students with physical impairments, and we approach that in the same way that we do anything else, and we look at what individual support that person needs, and we hope to meet that. We actually have our first student coming next year in a wheelchair, which is very exciting for us. It's, you know, it's a shift, and it's really opening out, and we are looking to develop that that kind of that work. And of course, there are resource implications in terms of our building and studios and all of those kinds of things. That's a sort of bigger, longer term question. But I would hope that anybody who's interested, who would be worried about that kind of thing, would apply and or approach us, have a conversation, and let's see what we can support and what we can do, because we can always do more than we think we can. And we want to help anybody overcome any barrier that they perceive is there. So that would be my kind of response.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to add anything?
I would agree with Francesca. We would approach a student with a disability as we would any other student, in terms of just making sure that we have the support that they need on the course, and that we can sort of create a programme that works for them, and they feel that they have everything that they need to take part in the course. So it's very difficult to say what we would be offering, because it would be so dependent on the individual and what they needed and what support they needed. But because we are small schools and we're small specialist schools, we have the space and time to really work out how we can best support each student, so that they've got their individual plans within the school community.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, same for us. We treat everyone as an individual, and that's not just for the degree programme, but for all our courses, for the under 16s too, from junior school from the age of 3 up to 18 for our associate school. When you apply to us for anything we offer, we give you the opportunity to tell us anything you think we might need to know, and we will do everything we can to support your training with us, whether it's for 1 day or for 3 years.
Okay, that's great. You know, we've mentioned that going to a conservatoire is very different to going to a traditional university, but you've also mentioned throughout your presentation about there is an element of academic work as well. And I'm just wondering if you could explain what type of academic work is done on the course, and how much maybe there is of it as well.
I can answer for Central School of Ballet to say that on our degree programme, the students do about 4 or 5 essays a year. And of course, at the end of the 3 years, they have to submit a dissertation. Those 4 or 5 essays really complement their what they do in the studio. So it's things such as nutrition, it's also about goal setting. So it's all related to their programme of study in the studio. And of course, there's a team of people to help them with their written work, because we're very aware that most of our students who have only just completed their GCSEs and they are now on a degree programme. And there is a huge leap between GCSEs and degree. And that's where I think our staff, who are excellent, really come into their own, supporting the students in the classroom as well as the studio. So I don't think it's anything to be worried about, because there is a support in place, and the written work only enhances your practical training.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add anything?
Yes, we have a slightly different approach. So we have an inclusive assessment policy, and all of our assessments have alternatives. So there's only one point actually at which a student must submit a written essay, and that's in the first year, and the first year is a pass-fail year, which actually offers a bit of scope there. There's a lot of support in place anyway. As the students progress through the course, we have modules called research modules, where students look at research proposals, so that can be submitted as a written document, but we also offer the alternative that they can choose to do it as a viva, i.e. they're sort of questioned about something. They present and are questions, or they can do a verbal presentation. We also allow for the verbal presentations to be pre-recorded, because as we were discussing before this started, sometimes that can help reduce anxiety. So all of our assessments are offered in a range of modes that actually support this notion of, okay, what's best for this individual in this context. And whatever context, whichever mode they choose, they are tutored and have both subject-specific or content-specific tutor support alongside specific learner support. So we have a slightly different approach.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to ask, particularly for maybe Rambert, where you're doing both ballet and contemporary combined, do you need to be strong in both styles to apply?
Absolutely not. No, we are just looking for potential and passion and energy in dance. So maybe you have more experience in contemporary and a lot less experience in ballet. That's fine, because we've got the tools to train you when you come to us. But what we would like to see is that you're willing to learn and willing to study ballet, and that you have an interest, and know that it is 50% of your course. So you will be spending 50% of your time in the studio training in ballet, but you don't necessarily have to have years of experience. The same goes for contemporary. Perhaps you have a lot of ballet experience, but you've not really done much contemporary. That's fine. We can share that world with you when you come to us. One thing I always say is, maybe before auditioning, sometimes you might feel better if you can find an online ballet class and do it online and do it a couple of times. You might just feel a little bit more comfortable in the audition room, because you know a little bit what to expect. But it's not a prerequisite for applying and auditioning.
So I got across the board, maybe kind of the School of Ballet is slightly different but it's more, these auditions are about identifying your potential rather than kind of assessing a technical ability. Although I think Deborah said before, I think ballet is slightly different, where there's a certain level of technical ability needed as well. But I suppose that idea of potential runs through all of you to varying degrees.
Yeah, I think to say about ballet, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for raw, the potential, and to see that the technique is there. But obviously you're coming to us for 3 years for training.
Yeah, okay, that's really useful. And I think just the final question I had was about the opportunities for students to actually come up with their own work and their own dance pieces, and maybe you could each say a little bit about that.
I'm happy to start with that one. So we have choreographic platforms that we hold twice a year. and they are open to all students. So any student can make a work and we will put it on. We don't select which work gets shown. Anyone that wants to make work can make a work, solo, group work, it's up to them, and it will get performed. So that happens twice a year for all students. During the pandemic, something that we found really exciting and something that we're looking to continue was that when our dance students were sort of living and working from home when schools and universities were closed and all over the world, they created individual video projects, which was really exciting, and they choreographed for screen, and some of that was sort of solos in their locations local to them. Some of it was group work, which they sort of devised over Zoom and edited together. But we just found the skills that they learned through that process were so vital to this sort of increasing online world that we're living in, and posed some really exciting questions for them, and some quite new questions about movement and movement perception, and being able to sort of see work in that way, and communicate work and ideas in that way. So that's something that we're looking to sort of carry on, but there's lots of opportunities to perform the work there. And then in our other performances, we always have student choreography, because for us, our students' creativity is sort of the most important thing for them to feel that they have a voice as artists.
And I'm just wondering, Kitty, is it obviously a performance, it's a theatre with an audience. When you do something online, you haven't necessarily got that audience, but are any of those pieces available online or on your website? Have they been published to the world, so to speak, or are they something that's just kept within the institution?
I think if you go on to our website, you'll see some videos with sort of snippets of work that students have made, and on our YouTube channel. The other thing is, on our Instagram page, we often link to some of our current students that have dance Instagram accounts, where there are elements of their choreography online and shared, so you can see some of the work they're making. Something that we're just starting is live streaming our performances. So we're actually we've got 2 shows at the Limbury Theatre at the Royal Opera House next week, which will be live streaming across the world. So it sort of makes the performance more accessible for people all over the world to sort of get to know us and get to know the students and the work they're making. Brilliant.
Francesca?
Yeah, I mean, we have a sort of similar story, I suppose, in terms of lockdown and the supposed challenges, but that actually, came with innovations in what we do. So again, live streaming and filmed work, which, yes, you can see through the website, and we're going to include some of the students' film projects in the graduation programme as well, which you will be able to see because it's going to be live streamed. So look at the website. In relation to sort of generally performance opportunities, I think I mentioned that it's kind of embedded in our assessments. So we do have like a student platform where they're able to make work and share it. And again, they just, whoever wants to do it does it, and it's a student-led initiative. But I think also we noticed that actually we opened up our assessment programme and made it so that all of the assessments that we have, so there's opportunities for solo work, for group work, and for a choreographed, like external choreographed performance each year for each year group. There's also a site project each year, so dance not in the theatre but in less conventional settings. We noticed that actually the students started to contribute less to that platform because they were getting essentially the opportunity to create this really kind of out there work within the vehicle of assessment. So it actually reduced a bit of strain on them in terms of burnout and working like lots of extra hours. So we do have the opportunity for that student platform, but we've found that actually now, because we're opening up the actual assessments as performances, there's sort of less demand for it essentially. So we open out the solo performances to, well, ordinarily to a sort of like a large audience. That's obviously been scuppered somewhat this year, but certainly for an internal audience. And that would be for the solos, for the site work. We've got an assessment on the 24th and 5th of June. If anyone's lurking around Leeds and they have lifted the restrictions on the 21st, then please come along. I'm thinking that's looking increasingly unlikely, but so yeah, we've got the site one, we've got the external choreographer coming in, we've got solo, and then we also have the students making a group work every year, and all of those things are performed to audiences, generally public audiences, although of course not this year.
Thank you. And Deborah, is there anything you wish to add?
Well, all our students take choreography classes in the first and second year of the degree, and there's often performance opportunities for them to create. In the final year, they obviously perform a solo, but like all the schools, we also support individual students as and when what they need. And so, for instance, a couple of years ago, we had a student who was particularly strong at choreography. And this is quite unusual in that when she was a student in her third year, she actually choreographed a piece for the final year show using her peers. She's actually gone on to a very successful career as a choreographer since leaving us rather than as a performer. So I think we are very much, as a conservatoire school, and that's one of our strengths, because we're so small, we can adapt according to the needs of a year group. So yeah, there's absolutely opportunities throughout the 3 years.
Well, I think all it remains for me to do is to thank everyone who's contributed this morning. I know I've found it fascinating, having no real experience of dance whatsoever, apart from some kind of dodgy moves on various dance floors at family get-togethers. But yeah, it's been absolutely fascinating to hear about the different opportunities, and actually to hear about the fact there are entry routes for people who maybe aren't at maybe an absolutely advanced level, and this is about spotting people's passion and desire to take dance further and spot their potential to do so. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.